Hey, it's Honey, and I'm back. Yep, perpetual learning, doing double duty tonight. Honey's going to the drive-in because I have a really great author of spooky books. Woo. His books are so interesting, vivid. I mean, it's like you feel like you're right there in the book. Like there's no mistake. Like you know exactly what's going on because the book is just that detailed. And he's a super nice guy. You're just going to love him. He's smart and intelligent and creative. I mean, he's just got it all going on. So you're not going to want to miss tonight because we're going to learn all about him. We're going to learn about his books, and they're on the spooky side. Right? Here we go. Let's have some fun. Hey, it's Honey Gregory, and welcome back to my channel, Perpetual Learning. And tonight we're going to do a little double duty, as I always like to do, with both Honey Goes to the Drive-In, because tonight we have someone who is amazing. He's an amazing author. You may have heard of him before. So please welcome my guest for tonight, BC James, or otherwise known as Brian James. So welcome, Brian.
Hello.
Sorry about the technical difficulty.
Oh, not a problem.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you reached out to me about this. So I did a little research into some of your books and thank you for sending me some stuff. Wow, is all I can say.
Well,
Wow.
I hope the wow is a good wow.
I mean, I listened to your prologue that you sent me and I was like, "Ah!" that is you are an amazing writer. Wow. I'm looking for words. Vivid. Like so clean and so clear that you definitely have a visual image in your head, no matter if you want to or not. Or, it's like watching a movie in your own brain. Does that make sense?
And that's the whole point. You're trying to kind of paint a picture with words.
Yeah. Yeah. And you certainly do that. Um, so the prologue was, I was like, whoa. And, I'm thinking succubus, demons, devils. Ah.
And the weird
So
thing is, it wasn't even my idea.
it wasn't. Whose idea
Nope.
was it?
Okay, so this one started with I wrote a novella for a very strange publisher. We can go into that story another day. I wound up having to get a lawyer to get my rights away from her.
Oh no.
She was odd. I should have known there was trouble brewing when she told me she was dating Hawkeye from the Avengers.
Oh, maybe she was a succubus.
But there's a Facebook group called Book Nerds, and
Okay.
they're a fairly large group. They have a couple 100,000 members, and the owner picked up on some of my stuff. So he read my novella, he loved it, he reviewed it, and later on suggested, "Are you going to sequel this at all?"
Ooh.
It had never popped into my head to sequel it.
Oh wow. So give me some backstory and then we'll dig into all these books. So tell me about you.
Um, I am well, let's start off with I'm the owner of the worst degree on the planet. I have
Come on.
I have a history degree.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. That
Now,
you can see that
so,
in your writing.
Now, somebody at some point should have told me through college that you will never see the words wanted fat Indiana Jones. But so I got out of college and through a series of other things, I wound up as an engineer.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
I'm what's called a controls engineer. It's
Hmm.
the Chandler Bing of jobs. No one knows what it is. But what I do in my engineering side is I write the code that builds your car. Because
Oh, wow.
the cars are all built on robot lines.
Yeah.
So part of this is the robot programming, building the code. On the side, there's the part of me that still adores history.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously artistic too, because I see your guitar.
Mhm.
And so you're trying to balance out that left brain, right brain thing going on with the math and the linear thinking of an engineer, and then your creative thinking with music and writing.
And not to get too far, because if I start talking about engineering, I will bore you just to death. But programming a line is almost like music. Here's where this
Mm,
robot comes in. Here's where the welding comes in. It's almost like writing music.
wow.
But so that's the end of that topic.
Well, and AI and robot stuff is super big. I mean, it's taken over every industry right now. But you need to write something about that.
I may, but
Yeah.
as far as the books I'm working on now,
Hmm.
so Cursand is the novella that came right before the one that we're talking about, Mistress of the Second Circle.
And that's the one that's like the like a
With this,
military fighting demons one, right?
yep, and
Okay.
that is about a fire team that gets stuck in the old city of Babylon.
Ooh.
And in reality, to this day, a lot of the Bedouin will not go into what used to be Babylon
Yeah, because
because
it's the city of Bel.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's still so many old
Hmm. Hmm.
taboos about that.
Yeah, it's Moloch and sacrificing and demonic. So a lot of people that are certain religions are like, I'm not going there.
And then I don't, you may not have heard of this, you may not have. It's a non-biblical kind of biblical book called the Testament of Solomon.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in the Testament of Solomon, there is a ring that controls demons.
Hmm.
And Solomon he got the ring, it's a signet ring. He marked the demon Ornias with it. Ornias went and he gave the ring to Ornias, ordered him to mark Satan. He marked Satan and now he has control of all the demons.
Hmm.
And that's how the first Jewish temple got built, according to this myth.
Wow.
So I just brought the ring into Cursed Sand.
Yeah. Cool. Is
And
that where the other Ring movie? Is that where that kind of based off to?
Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
one ring to rule them well,
Hmm.
rule them all. I could
Hmm.
very easily see two correlations. And
Yeah. Right.
he was very, very educated as
Hmm.
far as religious studies.
Hmm. Oh, so much of history is, based off of religion. I mean, you just can't get around it because people were so religious and superstitious and
Mm-hmm.
were into trying to figure out the world the best the way they could in the times. But I think there was a lot of truth in a lot of it.
I think the world's a lot weirder than we think it is.
Yes, indeed. Well, the Bible says that there is, let me see if I can say it correctly. The unseen. There's more to be seen in the unseen than the seen. I forget the exact phrasing, but there's a Bible phrase that talks about the world that we don't see is more real than what we see.
And just
And
to
that could
go into
mean
that,
anything.
and to go into that a little. So in Cursed Sands, Isaiah prophesied that Babylon would never be inhabited after its fall.
Mm,
And well, it hasn't been. So I
yeah,
wrapped that story around that.
very clever. Yeah, I
Exactly
like
why
it.
is it not inhabited?
Well, only certain people would feel comfortable there.
So now in Mistress of the Second Circle, I've got my main character from Cursed Sands, Case McRae. He's left the Marines.
So
He's
he's the
now a detective
detective.
in Las Vegas,
Uh-huh.
and he still has the ring.
Ah.
Now, Satan has disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And now the demons are not as we envision them. They're not one block of all in lockstep creatures. They are
Mm-hmm.
like us.
Mm-hmm.
They are fractured. They've got
Mm-hmm.
cliques and they've got ambitions. So
Mm-hmm.
with Satan gone, somebody wants the throne.
There's
The best
always
way to
that
get the
power
throne isn't
struggle, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And the best way to get the throne in this case is not a civil war.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever gets control of that ring can get
So that's
control
why
of
they're after
everyone
him.
else. Mm-hmm.
Ah. So in the prologue, the succubus is having relations with who?
That is just he that character just exists for that moment.
Okay, because boy, was that a
Cassius.
visual.
Yeah, Cassius exists for one moment,
Okay.
and then he doesn't.
Yeah, well, yeah. After what he went through, I can see
No,
why.
he's loved to death.
He's loved to death. That's a one friendly way to put it. Oh my goodness. And so you have the other one that's about Thor's hammer, right? And I had my
Yeah,
notes here and I left them in the other room, but was it me
Mjolnir.
I can't even say it right.
See, and now you've got the biggest lesson I learned from that book. Never name a book something people can't pronounce.
Well, if you practice a few times, you can, or if you've studied gods and heroes, and especially like Norse legends and things like that. I mean, I'm sure you pick it up real quick, but the average person knows it just as Thor's hammer, right?
Right, and it's called Mjolnir.
Yeah, Mjolnir.
You know, it's the northern people who like consonants way more than they like.
Uh huh.
So they put them together, and it doesn't exactly flow off the tongue.
Yes, yes. So, are some of your characters pulled into this book as well?
Um, no, these are two
Completely
separate
different.
worlds.
Okay.
In Mjolnir, what I did is the Norse have a myth called Ragnarok,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm. The end of the world, right?
it is the end of the world. I
Yeah.
just put it in today's world.
Yeah, I
The
saw it looked like it was like a modern twist.
and the Norse gods all live on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
have integrated into the population, and
Mm-hmm.
have done so with varying levels of success. Thor became a professional football player.
Yeah.
He's also become an atheist.
Yeah, I saw that. That's hilarious.
Odin
Yeah.
owns a defense contracting firm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loki owns a multi-level marketing company. You know, not bad for the god of lies.
Right? Nothing like marketing, right? Trying to
Exactly.
convince you something that's not real. That's clever. Oh my goodness. And then the goddess, she was a prostitute. Forget what was
Freya
her name?
becomes an adult,
Yeah.
and I'd like to say that I write books, I put an outline in and I follow the outline all the way through.
Hmm.
You know what? Sometimes characters take over a book.
I know, isn't that weird? That happened to me when I was writing my screenplay. Like I had it in my mind what it was going to be, and the next thing I know, it's somewhere else. I was like, "How did this even happen?"
Oh, so you understand. Good.
Yeah, because like one day I'm in the shower, and I'm washing my hair, and all of a sudden I literally had a vision of my character acting out a scene that I was having trouble with, and I literally saw it go, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my character has taken over my brain."
And any outline you wrote just went out the window with that, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I had it kind of like I was trying to really write it in a certain way. And then it was like I couldn't quite get it to fit. And it was bugging me for days. And then, like I said, I was just like washing my hair, not even thinking about it. And all of a sudden, I literally physically had a vision, like I was literally watching the movie itself, like run through my brain. Like my characters and the background, everything was like, whoosh, it was a whole movie right there. Like
And
that scene.
and that's
Bizarre.
such a fun experience to have.
Has it happened to you? So it's not
A
just me?
lot.
Oh my gosh, I started thinking I was like losing it.
Nope, it
Is
happens
there
a lot.
something wrong with me? I've gone crazy.
But in Mjolnir, Freya took over the book.
Okay,
Um, Most people think it's about Thor all the way through. No, she took over the book.
that's wild. And so is this the only three books you have so far?
Yes, it is. Um,
Okay, so how long are they?
Cursedsands is just over 100 pages,
Okay.
and Mjolnir and Mistress of the Second Circle are about 320 to 350.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And are you planning some more? Are you working on something else?
Working on one right now.
Oh, can you give us a hint?
It's called 12 Miles Out, and
12 miles out.
international waters where anything's legal. And in this one,
Is it like a
America's
pirate movie?
no, this is social media and television. So the biggest game show on the planet in this
Uh-huh.
movie
Uh-huh.
is called 12 Miles Out. It is gladiatorial
Oh.
combat to the death just outside U.S. waters where everything
So
is
is
legal.
it like a big ship and they have like a gladiator Colosseum on it or something? Or
It is a decommissioned Russian aircraft carrier.
okay. Wow.
So there is no real owners to this ship because maritime law is the country that is the ship's point of origin, the
Mm-hmm.
laws follow where it came from.
Mm. Oh,
So in this case, you would be hard pressed to find out where the ship came from. It's pretty
I
buried.
see.
So
Uh-huh.
it is whatever happens on that ship is legal, and the American audience just adores watching gladiatorial combat.
Man, we haven't evolved very much, have we?
I don't think we have.
We really haven't evolved much in the last 2 or 3 thousand years. We still like to watch the same spectacles. It's crazy, isn't it?
It really is. And there's a huge social media aspect to this because I
Mm-hmm.
think in many cases, social media is a numbing. Um,
Mm,
it, it,
mm-hmm.
it does something to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It
what would
does.
make, I'm guessing that if I ever worked on a PhD project,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to offer people the opportunity to participate in something like this, not for real, but just to see who
Mm-hmm.
would be interested in killing their fellow man just for clicks and likes.
Mm. Oh, I bet there'd be several people sign up for that.
I don't think there'd be a problem finding people to do it.
No, no, no. Mm-mm. There's a lot of people that would enjoy that. But there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't physically be able to do it because they've been
No,
spending too much time on their computers.
they're not exactly in fight to the
Mhm.
death shape,
Yeah, exactly.
which I think we is something we should be happy about.
Yeah, it's a different generation. My generation, we got outside and played and beat each other up, or wrestled around, climbed trees, whatever people did. Kids
Well,
did
I
back
think we're
then.
both probably Gen X.
Well, I'm on the edge. So I was born in late '63. So 2.5 months after I was born, it switched. So I'm like at the end of the baby boomer, but I don't think or act like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'm more Gen X. Yeah, might
And
as well be.
I'm
What's 2 months?
come on, those are back in the days when latchkey kids. We were
Mm-hmm.
basically raised by wolves.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So are you thinking about trying to turn them into movie scripts and produce any of them?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what the safe process for that is, and
Mm-hmm.
I know some people who can help me with this.
Nice.
And working on the last book was it was a different level of working with things. We're working
Mm-hmm.
on a project
Mm-hmm.
because to help market the book, because we
Mm-hmm.
all know that marketing is a huge thing.
Right.
Um, I figured I needed an influencer's help because
Mm.
that's just how the world works.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know the name Lizyhale. She's
No,
lead
not off the top of my head.
lead singer of the band Halestorm. They won a Grammy, I think, last
Oh,
year.
cool. Yeah,
I
nice.
convinced them
Mm-hmm.
to her and her folks to let me write her in as a character,
Oh, cool.
so long as she got veto power over anything I did,
Yeah, yeah.
and that helped drive the sales.
Oh, because she helped promote it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
once
which book is she in?
Mistress of the Second
Oh,
Circle.
that one. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And which character is she?
She is herself. She is a
Oh, she's
siren.
herself.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
She, because music angle, she is a
Mm-hmm.
siren,
Okay.
and
Yeah, right.
she stalks the Nevada desert
Ah,
claiming victims.
okay. So there's more than one in the book.
Oh, there's a ton of them. The succubi
Okay.
aren't the only thing that's going on.
Okay. Yeah, because I only saw the what you sent me, so I'm like, and then I went on Amazon and I was like, oh, there's another book, and so I was like, oh, I got to read about this too. Ooh, they
Oh,
all sound super intriguing. I'm not gonna lie, they sound super intriguing, and I like the fact that due to your history degree, um, that there's real depth and interesting. things added in because I have looked at some material that people have given me. Everyone's always so generous to share their projects with me, and I really appreciate that. But some of them are just scary, 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 um, kind of like Scream or something, a couple kids going here and someone's after them with a knife or something. But yours, just the information that I so far, you can tell when you pull your knowledge from history into it and make it have more depth, more interesting. So yeah, I mean, I don't normally read scary books because reading late at night scary stuff scares me. I'm a big chicken, but yours is fascinating. I think I might actually read yours
Well, first of
because
all,
it
my mother also wouldn't read them for the same reason.
bless her heart. What does she say?
Too violent, too scary.
Oh, yeah.
But I do also throw some childhood fears in there.
Ooh.
Like one of the demons
Mm-hmm.
is the character from the Munch painting, The Scream.
Oh, yeah. The one that goes,
Yep,
yep.
that thing used to scare the crap out of me when I was very small.
I'm trying to remember. I vaguely think I might have actually seen one of the originals when I was traveling in Europe. I'm
I
trying to
think it's in the
remember.
Louvre. I
I
want
didn't
to say,
go to the Louvre, but I was in a couple of museums in England and some in France. I mean, some in Switzerland. Oh, about 20 years ago. And I feel like I saw because there was more than one where he's kind of doing something funny. I think I did see it. Let me just look this up.
but it's just the dead eyes, the
Yeah.
paddles for hands, the skull shape. All of our heads are shaped like skulls, but there's hair and skin.
Uh-huh.
This just, it was the eyes that did it for me as a kid. They were just dead.
Why do I feel like I've seen it in for real? Yeah, it's pretty spooky looking. It does look like death.
So he made,
The
so,
scream. Okay, so maybe there is only one. Let me see where it says it is. I'm listening. I was just looking to see what. Oh,
but
what is this?
that demon makes an appearance
Okay,
in both books, actually.
because he's Norwegian.
Yep, Edvard Munch.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering which museum it was at because I feel like I saw it in person. Well, I'll
Very,
have to check it out.
very
But I feel
possible.
like I may have, yeah, because
You
I
do.
love museums. I love art. So I go anytime I go somewhere, I'm like, oh, there's a gallery. Oh, there's a museum.
Now,
I
off the
love art.
topic of anything we're talking about, when you go to an art museum,
Hmm.
do you go to see everything or do you pick out one or two things and just study them?
I like to go see everything, but then I always pick out a couple of things that I need to feel like I got to really concentrate and study. Like I'll go through the whole museum and then I go, I really like that one. I want to go back. And then I'll just go back and I'll stare and I get real close and I look at the brush strokes and I look at the color and I go back and I get close and I go back and and I'm like, gosh, this looks like it's looking at me. I'm doing this whole thing. Sometimes I'll spend, 30 minutes just checking out. Yeah. But when I go to a museum, I like to look at all the different art. But then there's always, and when I've always made my daughters go and they know the rule that I'm going to ask them when we get in the car, what was your favorite and why? So they have to pay attention. I love art.
I should have done that with my kids.
Yeah. How many do you have?
I have two boys.
Aw. What are their names? Is that okay I ask?
No, that's fine. They're Trent and Logan.
Aw. How sweet. Are they
Uh,
teenagers or grown up?
they have just gotten out of teenagerhood. I've got one in college and one who isn't ready for college. He doesn't think
Aw.
he's ready for college yet, so he works. And
That's
the
okay too.
and the in college one is going for a nursing degree.
Oh, cool. Wow. Yeah, I've got one in college. She's going for a business degree. She wants to own her own business someday.
Not the worst thing in the world. In fact, you've got
No.
a few degrees of your own.
Yeah, I've got four, and then I look around, I go, what have I really done with them? I practice law, but I'm kind of in a place like you are where it's monotonous. pays the bills, but it's monotonous. And the creative side of me really wants to get out, and explore more. Yeah.
Mm. Now, see, if I was going to have a retirement job,
Hmm.
I would want to go back to school to be a lawyer and then be a pro bono defense attorney.
Oh, wow. Well, that would be very nice for you. We definitely need plenty of those.
Well, my
Yeah.
wife works in law enforcement,
Uh huh.
and I see how some of these poor kids just get
Yeah.
railroaded because
Yeah.
they don't have the money for the real lawyer.
Yeah.
And the defense attorney they get says, "Well, just take the plea bargain," and they were
Yeah.
innocent.
Well, yeah. A lot of times when they appoint someone, their caseload is just so huge. They have 1,000 cases, and there's always something going on, and it's hard to give hours and hours attention like you probably need to a criminal case. Um, but it's better than no lawyer. At least some of your rights are protected.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
it'd be great if there were someone out there putting in those hours for free.
Yeah. I know there's been some places who have tried really hard to help by creating like 503c charitable organizations where people can get grants and stuff like that, but that becomes basically a fundraising business where you're just constantly out begging people for money to put in there so you can give out grants. But most of those don't last long. People try real hard, but they don't last very long.
No, but I would find law fascinating
Yeah. If you like reading
and
a
arguing.
lot, yeah, and arguing a lot, um, because the law changes every day. So you can go to court and some law came down yesterday and you didn't see it. And then you're like, oh, oops, it's not good. It's a lot. You need help. And I think that's why it gets so expensive is to try to halfway stay caught up with everything. You have to have a large staff and then you have to charge a lot,
So what
which
happened to
makes
the
sense.
screenplay?
Well, I wrote it and back in 2010, 11, and like anything else in this industry, if you don't have a lot of money or a lot of connections, it just doesn't get done. I've had a few people interested in it, and then they ghost me or they tell me they want it, but they want to give me a couple $1,000s and me disappear as if I never existed, and it's
It's not
I don't
worth it
know.
at that point.
No, no. I think I'm at some point in time, I hope to be able to take it and convert it into a book. At least it'll get seen by somebody, read.
I would find it probably interesting to read.
Yeah. So it's a
What's the,
vigilante. Vigilante.
okay, you got me. You had me a vigilante.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's a lawyer who goes vigilante.
I don't think we're that far from that.
The justice system doesn't always work. So she loses it.
A little self-insertion there.
Maybe a little bit.
We all do it.
There's some of my fantasies in there.
We all self-insert a little.
Hmm.
Sometimes the
Absolutely.
characters do things that we wish we could do.
Exactly. So, who are you in one of your books?
I show up in different aspects of different people.
Okay.
Thor does a few things that I wish I could have done that I wish I
Uh
could have done.
huh.
Case does a few things that I wish I could have done.
Hmm.
In Cursedsands, there's a character named Tuco, and if there's a self-insertion, he's it.
Ah, tell me about him.
Tuco is part of the fire team,
Hmm.
and he's the guy who really isn't into moving up the ladder in the military,
Hmm.
but just enjoys what he does.
So he's not a career guy. He's just a little crazy.
Oh, just a little, yeah.
This is
In,
fun.
in
Ta, 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 ta.
in Curse Sands, they go through a little of his history. I go through a little of his history,
Hmm.
and one of it in one mission, the Humvee hit an IED, and everyone
Mm.
died except for
Mm.
him. But
Oh wow.
he was presumed dead because blood found at the scene and scraps of his clothing found at the scene. And he showed up at a base 70 miles away
Oh, does he
with
know he got there, or did he supernaturally get there?
no, he knows he got there. He walked.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's how he got the first of all, it's how he got the name Tuco, because
Oh.
a very similar thing happened to a character named Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Clint Eastwood's character left
Yep.
him stranded in the desert, about 70 miles from civilization,
Hmm.
and he survived the desert. So,
Okay.
and in Curse everyone has a nickname. That's how he got his nickname.
Well, that's pretty common in the military. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get your real name. They stare into your soul and they give you the name they think you deserve.
Yeah. Whatever they come up with. Usually it's something derogatory about something you do or something. Yeah. My dad was Air Force for 30 something years.
And
Did you ever serve?
no, I tried, but I was legally blind at the time.
Oh, no.
Well,
Wow.
when you can't see the E on the eye chart
That's bad.
and you're
Yeah,
wearing
that's bad.
and you're wearing just Coke bottle thick glasses,
Oh, my goodness.
they won't take you.
I can see why. No pun
Well,
intended.
I was going for the Air Force,
Yeah. My dad was Air
and
Force.
they figured, there's got to be they probably have some technical jobs that don't require you to see outside of a screen,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently that still wasn't good enough for them.
Okay. But you what?
No,
Did you have surgery?
yes, I did.
Oh, what did they do?
Lasix.
Oh, cool. I've heard people do that. I've heard good stories and bad. So,
I'm glad I've heard some nasty stories after I
mm,
had it,
yeah.
and I didn't know that it was as big a risk as it was.
Mm.
So I went in, all full of ignorance, and it came out and it turned out
sometimes that's
okay.
sometimes that's a good thing, right?
But
Yeah.
sometimes, a lot of times, it doesn't turn out okay.
Yeah, for some people that's sad. Yeah, I tried to go in the military a couple times. My dad tried to get me to go, and at first I was just too girly, and I didn't want to cut my hair and cut my nails and not wear makeup and not wear pretty clothes. I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. And then as I've gotten older, like now I know, looking back, hindsight, I would have loved being in the Air Force, especially if I could have got into something where it's like about aliens or something, spaceships. That would have been the space.
Space Force.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I would have loved that.
Oh, I'd be all over that.
I know there's aliens out there and I want to be a part of it.
There's got to be.
There has to be.
I'm not even sure that um our oceans are not inhabited by
Oh,
things that
ow. Well, my daughter told me yesterday, she goes, Mom, did you hear? I'm like, hear what? She goes, somebody at something announced that they were monitoring, the U.S. government was monitoring alien bases under the ocean off the coast of California. I said, yeah, off the coast of Florida too. She's like, you already know about this? I'm like, girl, I've been studying aliens since I was this big because I know they're real.
well, not just that, but also there are structures underwater.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember, and I could probably bore you for hours over history that they don't that a lot of people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, they hide it.
But there are pyramids off the coast of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
You
There's
know,
pyramids in Antarctica. There's pyramids under the water. There's pyramids in China. Yeah, they don't want you to know about it.
and a lot of it is just not any conspiracy theory stuff, just because they don't want to be wrong about the timeline of history.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of it is, I think, and this is just my opinion, um, they don't want to admit that the people who were savages were
Mm-hmm.
just as smart as we were.
Or smarter.
Well, Archimedes had what was called the Claws of Archimedes
Mm-hmm.
in a battle where the Greeks were fighting the Romans. Archimedes was on the Greek side,
Mm-hmm.
and these claws were picking up Roman ships and dashing them against the rocks. Both
Wow.
sides of the battle agree this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Modern historians, most will say it's a myth.
Well, even with World War II, you know, the Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much history and stuff if you go back. Old paintings from thousand years ago, where spaceships are flying around in
Yep.
the air. You're like, hello. They just didn't know what to call them. They just. But there was what is that? Zulu, is he Zulu? Shaman? Kud Kudo Montois. I'm not gonna say his name right. But anyway, he was a shaman in Africa for I think he died in his 90s, and he'd been a shaman for many, many years. Um and their whole origin legend is that they came from outer space.
Not just them, but the Mayans.
Yeah. So many. I'll tell you.
And
I
then
mean,
you've got
the
then you've got
Hopi,
the
I think, too.
then you've got the Nazca lines,
Mhm. Mhm.
which they can only be seen from high up.
Yep. And so who they make those for?
Exactly.
Isn't
Someone's got to
that
see them.
bizarre? Yeah, it's crazy. There's just so much evidence that something's been going around. Well, when was it that island? There were natives on it, and when the guy's plane crashed on there, and then he was able to get out of there, they then built a mock plane and worship it now. I can't remember what tribe that is, but there's a mock plane, and that's their god. They worship it now because it can fly and come in. I mean, we as people, anything that we see that we don't understand that can do things we can't do, we
Call
lift
it a
it
myth.
up. We lift it up.
Mhm. We either call it a god, and then several hundred years, thousand years later, we call it a myth, or
Yeah,
we just say it didn't happen.
yeah, yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, history's fascinating. You know, if I could have done anything, I think I would have just been one of those students that was a student forever. Because every time I graduate, I was like, dang, now what am I going to do? I was having so much fun because I loved studying.
Well, history is what got me into the whole. That's where Mjolnir came from. I started studying
Hmm.
all the northern myths,
Hmm.
and a lot of the
Hmm.
northern myths. Okay, they're
Okay, so I don't know what happened, but here we are, technical difficulties. So we were talking about history real quick. So go ahead and finish your thought.
just saying that's what got me into Norse myths because okay, most of it is myth,
Yeah, yeah,
um, but they had a habit of writing truth into their saga
yep,
stories.
yep. There's always truth
They
in it.
discuss. They are the Europeans that discovered America,
Hmm.
which, by the way, America was not discovered by European. America was inconvenient, not lost,
Yeah.
because there are.
Well, I mean, obviously there were already people here when America was discovered.
Yep, and then
Hello.
there's also the Chinese stone anchors off the coast of California.
Mm.
So we've had plenty of trips here.
I'm sure there's been plenty of people who have crash landed here while they were out sailing, due the winds taking them in a different direction than they originally planned. And maybe they couldn't survive many, many thousands of years ago. Um, but obviously the Native American Indians or Asians that came over on the
Land
Bering
bridge.
Strait. Yeah. And I mean, but there's also a lot of artifacts for Vikings and
Mhm.
um, what is the other one recently? Egyptians. They found Egyptian carvings and statues and all sorts of things in the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
needs to be studied a bit more.
Yeah. I think they've kind of shut it down because people kept finding stuff and they suddenly realized there's some too much information in there. Yeah.
And that
So
disrupt.
you have a lot of material to do books.
Yep, and you would mention the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've got one novella that's I'm working on based on something similar to that,
Oh, cool.
which
Awesome.
the Gremlins were part of a German wonder weapon program.
Mm-hmm. The Wunderbar.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the Glocken, the Glocken, the bell.
You know your World War II.
Oh, a little bit. Again, I love alien stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that the Gremlins were wonder weapons.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's also fascinating. All the history is. You'll have to do a Honey fights the aliens story for me.
Okay, not a problem.
Or
Don't
maybe I'm
threaten me.
an alien and I get to wear a sexy outfit. Be cool.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I'm telling you, get to wear me a sexy little alien outfit. I don't even know what aliens would wear, but I'm sure mine would be like 1960s Star Trek hot, sexy outfit.
Would you be green though?
Ooh. Mm. Oh, I don't know, but I had a really cool experience about a month ago. I was at this alien talk, actually. This is so funny. And I'd never been to one before, and I just didn't have anything to do. And I thought, oh, this sounds interesting. I'm going to go check this out. And this woman was sitting there, and she was telling her story. And all of a sudden, I kid you not, I'm not delusional, her skin started turning green. And I started blinking my eyes. Like, I'm losing it, man. Something's happening to me. And I just kept blinking my eyes. And the more I blinked my eyes, the greener she got. And so she's talking, and her clothes didn't turn green, but her skin turned green. And I started thinking, she's an alien. It was weird.
Is weird.
Yeah, I've never had, and everybody next to at me, the people here, the people here, the people everywhere else, they look like everyday normal people. But she literally turned green in the middle of her standing up talking in front of the class. I'm like, okay, I'm either my brain is completely done in, or this woman is spiritually or physically from somewhere else.
Well, do we all remember that YouTube clip from a little over a year ago, I believe, where the girl stands up on the plane and leaves, screaming that that person she was sitting next to is not
Oh, is an
human?
alien? Yeah, she kept screaming, that person's not real. That's an alien.
Now, I've never heard anything about her being drunk, but the fear was real.
Yeah, she did get on. Somebody interviewed her or something, but I didn't watch it. So I think she did follow up like a few months later. I can't
I
remember what
think
she
so,
said.
but I don't think she ever really cleared it up.
Yeah. Well,
But in that moment, the fear was real.
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I've had paranormal things happen to me, and I know I'm not losing it. I'm not the only one seeing it, or I'm not the only one there, and it's like there's more on the other side than our eyes can and mind can perceive usually.
Now, I've only had one, what I would consider a paranormal event.
The unseen is more real than the seen. That's the phrase I was trying to remember. The unseen is more real than the seen.
And I think that's true.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot we don't know about.
No, like I said, the world's a whole lot weirder than we think.
Yep. And you got a lot of material. So
Yes, I
where
do.
can people find you in your books?
Amazon,
Uh-huh.
probably the easiest place to find me.
Are they all self-published?
They are now. I work with a company that helps me market them.
Okay.
And the owner of this company, she herself is a writer,
Okay.
and she is a very good one. And she's uh, a USA Today best-selling author who
Wow.
publishes their own stuff.
Wow.
And when I told her, when I met her, I was with the publisher. She
Mm-hmm.
said, "Why?"
Mm-hmm.
She said, "In the digital, what are you paying? How much? How much are you getting
Mm-hmm.
for a download?" And I said,
Mm-hmm.
40%.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Why?" If the landscape has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So she convinced me to start my own little publishing firm and
Oh,
just do my own stuff.
cool. Nice.
So far it's worked out. I've had a few breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if you've ever heard of an author named Piers Anthony.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
He was a big fantasy author through 60s, 70s, 80s,
Oh,
90s.
cool. Wow.
And I was fortunate enough that when I sent him an email, his assistant decided, you know what, I'll answer this one. And I asked for
Mm.
a review for Mjolnir.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was basically, Mr. Anthony will review this,
Oh, wow.
but you need to understand if he doesn't like it, he's going to say so.
Oh, my goodness. Right. Oh, yeah.
So a guy who has sold approximately 70 million books
Wow.
is going is going to is right there warning me that if I don't like it, I will tell everyone.
Oh, my gosh. Scary.
And he turned out liking it.
Yeah. Good. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, just what I heard was very, very vivid. Lots of words to describe. I mean, there's no doubt you know what exactly is happening. Like you know. So, all right. So you have your Facebook page, which is BC James,
Mhm.
and
And
then
like
your
I said,
yeah,
Amazon.
and you have Amazon, and then do you have an author page on there, and that's probably BC James
Yes.
also. Okay. Do you have Instagram or any of those other places?
No, I don't do a lot of social media.
Okay,
Like I
that's
said,
fine.
kind of
It's a
creeps me
lot of
out a little.
work trying to keep up with it all. It's crazy. I don't know how people have time for all that. Unless they can afford a marketing person to do everything.
I tried Twitter once, and that was the angriest place on the planet.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. It's so sad. It's like I don't understand.
And it just made me anxious
Yeah,
being there. So I just closed that account.
yeah. And so your books are horror, fantasy, mystical, kind of different genres, action kind of blending kind of together, right?
Correct. And it's hard. I've had more than one person tell me it's hard to stick a genre on it,
Mm-hmm.
but horror fantasy is probably the best way to go.
Even the cursedsands.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's like a dragon or demon in the fire or something in the background, right? Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Okay. The artwork was amazing. Who did all the artwork?
Okay, the artwork is done by all my artwork is done by a guy named Uwe Jarling.
Uwe Jarle.
Uwejarling.
Wow, that's an
He,
interesting name.
um, he did heavy metal album covers, and I
Oh,
saw one
cool.
of the album covers
Uh-huh.
and just said, I got to have this guy doing my covers.
Yeah, cool.
I will never work with anyone else but him.
Oh, it's very, very realistic. I mean, it was really beautiful. Yeah, I thought they were really well done.
Yeah, he is beyond incredible.
So you're a heavy metal guitarist?
A little bit of everything. I
Were
don't
you
have a genre.
okay? You were a
I,
headbanger in the 80s?
yes, I was.
Me too.
Still am kind of. I think Sophie Lloyd
Yeah.
is the best guitarist not named Steve Vai.
Oh my goodness. The good old
But also
days.
throwing some Tori Amos and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, we're about out of time. Is there any last minute things you want to say?
well, first of all, thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
And I'm so happy to be here for reasons that I was a Joe Bob Briggs fan through the
Aw.
90s. I grew up on you guys.
Aw.
In fact, I still watch his show now.
Yep. Yep. Very
So
different. Very different now.
it's still
It's
him.
still
The
Joe
sense of
Bob,
humor,
though. Yeah. Yeah.
it's the sense of humor.
Yeah.
The interplay between the two of you is different than the interplay between
Well, they get to do a whole lot more now than we got to do. I mean,
yeah,
it was the late 80s, early 90s. So, we were pretty boxed in. If he did too much of this, too much of that, the hate mail and,
of course.
I'm sure he still gets it now, but he has a lot more leeway of doing fun skips and doing sillier things and getting out of his character arc. It's like expanded, like he could do sillier things that he could have done when he was back in the 80s. People would have found that unacceptable, but now he has a whole lot more freedom to take the character in all new places, which is
But
really
you two
cool.
were just so much fun.
And I loved it. We just had a great time. I do. I miss it. I wish that it would have worked out where he could have done it a long time ago and we could have done it together, but he didn't want to do it. And then um, Darcy and some other people, they really got to spend time with him and convinced him to give it another try. And voila, it
So
worked out. So good for them.
it's a rampaging success right now.
Oh, I know. Everybody loves Joe Bob. I love Joe Bob. He's hilarious.
Well,
Nobody can write a review like Joe Bob.
and he's also informative.
Yeah, he's
I
really
learned
intelligent. So John Bloom, the actor, is extremely intelligent. He's an amazing writer and journalist, and actor. He's just so intelligent. You just can't be, and he's such a nice person and fun to be around. You know what I mean?
clearly.
Yeah, he's just an overall really nice guy, and um, he's a good friend.
Darcy keeps
So
making him cry.
yeah, I like him. He's a good guy, good friend. So well, thank you. I'm so glad you're on here, and thank you for having been a fan and watching the show. And, if you ever want to write something together, let me know. I'm trying to branch out and do other things.
Okay, I think that's a good discussion to have.
Okay. Well, we'll do it. You let me know when you're ready.
All right.
All right. And thank you so much. And I will put just down in the description how people can find you and your books. And let me know when you got another one come out and we can get on here and talk about it again.
Okay, and also send me a business address or something. I can send you
Okay.
copies of all three.
Oh, fantastic. I'd love that idea. Thank you.
You're
All
very welcome.
right. I look forward to it.
Okay,
Thanks. Appreciate you, Brian. You're so sweet. Thank you for coming on and spending time with me, and have a great rest of your evening.
you too.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.